Awesome. So I really don't even need to introduce him, but you know who you're here to see. David Kaye.
Yes, excellent. Terrorize. No.
That's how he's going to answer all his questions.
Yes. So if it doesn't involve one of those answers, yeah. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much for coming and supporting and watching the shows. Because I have to say this, without you, there's no this. You know what I mean? Seriously, it's humbling and it's great to meet you all. So thank you.
Awesome. So let's start with a little getting to know you. So you were born in Canada. How did you get from Canada to here?
Shh, quiet.
Sorry.
No, I talked a little bit. Where was the folks that stopped by at the G.I. Joe stuff? I don't know if they were going to drop by. I signed a General Hawk DVD seconds ago. So the story is, I was in radio for a while, and I got an agent somehow, and they said, "Do you do voices?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." I was doing stuff on the morning show, doing all kinds of crazy characters. He said, "I have an audition for G.I. Joe, the Great American Hero." I said, "Well, can we do that? Because we're not." He said, no, they do the show here. I go, okay. So I went and auditioned for a couple of characters, and General Hawk was the one that I ended up getting called back for and hired to do, which is my first cartoon, working with Gary Chalk and Scotty McNeil and some of the guys that I first met for the first time. And for many years, I always felt guilty. I said, well, I'm not really the Great American Hero. That doesn't really work. So we became U.S. citizens 3.5, almost 4 years ago now. And I thought, oh, okay, now I can say that I'm General Hawk, the Great American Hero. So I always felt guilty. So now I feel okay that I can say it. But that General Hawk was my first cartoon that I wanted to quit everything I ever did and loved about radio and do this whole voiceover thing. And started a business doing imaging and television, and now it's movie trailers and promo for Fox and football, NFL football, and a lot of cartoons, and live in Los Angeles. And so thanks to G.I. Joe, I'm here. So that's how it started with me, and that's how we got to Los Angeles.
How long were you involved in radio beforehand?
And I was 10 or 15 years, I guess. I was 17 years old. I was on the air in my hometown playing records. And I used to, it was sort of in a clock tower building, and I could see down. I still have nightmares about it, waking up and actually going back. It's winter time, it's freezing, and I'm playing, music, and no one's on the street. I did overnights. I used to play, my wife and I have been married 33 years, and I used to dedicate songs to her all the time when I was in high school. So, that was fun.
What kind of radio was it?
Top 40, always usually top 40.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So recently you just started work on DuckTales, I believe.
Yeah, you know DuckTales?
Wow.
When you're in Los Angeles, you have an audition for Disney, you automatically tighten up and go, oh God. Because when you walk on the lot, and a lot of the stuff, you reforce on the lot at Disney, and when you walk down there's a beautiful manicured lawns and studios, it's very historic, and you go into the voiceover division, the cartoon animation division, and there's these big, giant, cement gargoyle Disney characters staring down at you.
Don't screw it up. We're watching you.
And you get, it's nerve-wracking. It really is nerve-wracking. And I did some different projects, Disney projects and things and that by circling, but I've never actually, this is the first time I've been involved in an actual duck, a mouse or a duck. I'm an actual duck thing character. Yeah. Well, he's, Duckworth.
It's a legacy.
Yeah. And Duckworth is very proper and fun, talks like this all the time. Yes, of course you are. There's a bit of Megatron in there, but it's, yes. But that's, yeah. Matt Youngberg and those guys. We're having a big rap party in 2 weeks for the new season, so get to go and hang with everybody.
So season 3 is already filmed or recorded for the most part?
I believe so. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very excited to see Duckworth come in, and then when it was you, that was just icing on the cake.
It was an honor, like a real honor. So,
All right, so I'm going to kind of pass the microphone around. If you got questions, throw your hands up and ask David some questions.
Hi, Mr. Kaye.
sir, good to see you.
Thank you. How did you get involved with the theft of the Golden Disc project?
The which?
The theft of the Golden Disc?
Oh, the golden. You mean Beast Wars, the Golden Disc?
Right.
Yeah. The Golden Disc, yes. The audition for that happened. Now, I had not seen G1 Transformers. I grew up watching Bugs Bunny, Tex Avery, all the weird cartoons that I would stare at for hours. Pink Panther, all that stuff. That's just so I never really knew. And then the audition came through for Transformers, and when the audition came through, it was a stack of papers, characters, the relationship between each character, a whole universe, and it was overwhelming because it was early in my career. I guess it was around 93, 94, somewhere in there. I think it started casting and all. And so I didn't really have any ideas. The audition came, the day came, and I'm thinking, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no. And last minute, I'm in there, and I just kept thinking about Anthony Hopkins, Sean Connery, and a lizard. What would that sound like together? And I really didn't know until I went in and opened my mouth, and then yes, this thing came out. This Sean Connery, and I could see everyone's head kind of look up and start talking and everything else, and they were, asked me to try it again. When you're in a booth and they got you to try it again, that means they're trying to see if you can take direction, or they're interested. So I did it a couple of times, and they said, okay, take a look at Optimus Prime, and okay. So I read for Optimus. I can't even remember what I did. But I ended up getting cast as Megatron. And that's how that whole thing started. And you watch Beast Wars, you've seen it. It's the writing, the storylines are phenomenal. You ever notice it's very Shakespearean, a lot of Shakespeare? If I do this, this will happen, but if I do that, to be or not to be, that is the question. That's all that comes from that. And we just all fell in love with it. And the first time we saw it on screen, Sue Blue was the voice director, and I said, Gary Chalk. You remember Gary Chalk, the big monkey? He was here last year. Did you meet Gary? Yeah. So Gary and I, Ian Corlett, who also lives in Los Angeles, now Scotty McNeil, Alec Willows. Watching Alec Willows work as Tarantulas is the creepiest thing you'll ever see. I don't know if anybody ever met Alec? He says, yeah. I go, dude, stand away. Venus Terzo, she's a sweetheart. I saw her in Louisville a couple of years ago. Who else is in it? Doug is Starscream. Richard Newman. Who else is who was the one who called me? Jim Burns. Yeah, my queen. Stop calling me that. That's uncomfortable. Yeah. It was just an amazing cast, and what made it great was all this screwing around we did before we went to record. We table read it and then record. And Jim Burns, when he was in the episodes, would walk in. Jimmy lost his both legs in a motorcycle accident many, many years ago. So he'd come in, as Kane, he'd walk in, and the first thing he'd do is tell a really, really dirty joke at 8:30 in the morning. Dude, we're not ready. It's like, and that started the day. So, yeah, I got one for you. Oh God, here we go. So the camaraderie and the fun we had, and when we first saw it on the screen, that they played a bit of the animation, the rendering, and we were like, wow, this is. At that time, it's like we're seeing the future. Wow, it was really something, And who knew? It's from that, from G1 that all this. The universe keeps growing, and it's pretty crazy.
The Beast Wars, you did that.
Yeah, the Golden Disc was the second season, right? Well, it was the whole series about the Golden Disc, but that's a very Shakespearean speech. That was fun. The what? It's a separate thing from the convention? The which? Oh, did I answer any of the question? The golden disc? It was after Beast Wars, wasn't it? Yeah. Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah. Next?
I have a question and I have a voice request.
Yeah.
Okay. The question is, when it came to voicing Megatron, did you like put a little bit of yourself into the character?
Yes, it's a good question. Everything we do is a part of who we are. Does that make sense? Everything. Even you said, I remember a friend of mine who's an actor said, yeah, I don't have a dark side. I go, oh, then you're in the wrong profession. But that's the fun of it, to be a character, and the character doesn't think of himself as evil. He just is doing what he believes to be the right thing to do in his mind. He doesn't think, I'm not evil, you know. This is the way it shall be, you know. But did I answer that question? I ramble, so just stop me.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, there's part of me in there, absolutely.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Can you say Megatron terrorize?
Of course.
Megatron, terrorize! Commander Rattrap, what a pleasant surprise. But you'll avail you not. No sight guns.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah. I still get chills because I remember that first time we recorded it, we're like, oh, well, this is awesome. You know, it was. Yeah. Yes.
So I remember the New York market, the first 2 episodes aired as a sneak peek, like in February '96, before the fall when the show actually started.
Right.
On the business side, do you remember, was that actually like a pilot, and did they tell you as actors, listen, the show isn't greenlit yet, we got to see how like the returns are?
I didn't know anything about that. I'm one of those actors who's quite happy to be oblivious, because you never get too comfortable, and there's never a real or a sure thing. We all assumed that, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. I hope this goes. That was our thought.
I mean, the first 2 episodes when you recorded, was there a pause before picking up the rest of the season?
No, I think we just went right into it. They expected it to be bought. They obviously knew that, you know, a lot of stuff we didn't know. Some people are interested and know about the business. I'd like to, like I said, be oblivious because I'm happier that way. To not know. You never know what show's going to hit, what show's not going to hit. You know, but sometimes that happens where they just do one. Like we did, there's before the Ratchet and Clank movie came out, there was a bunch of testing and a bunch of this and that before it eventually, we're going, you know. Sometimes it happens, but that we just we started recording and right into it. Yeah. Yes.
Hi. I've got 2 questions.
All
right. Like, first question, do you ever have like a Megatron voice-off with any of the past Megatrons, like Frank Welker?
Well, I haven't had that, but in an episode of TF Prime that I came in as an Insecticon, Hard Shell, do you remember that one? It was the first time that Frank, Peter, and I have been in the same room together, and I thought a black hole was going to open up and swallow everyone, you know. But no, we haven't. My heart
didn't hear that the mandible's an Insecticon, that is big thing.
So it was an element of Megatron in there. But hearing Frank,
You know, it's more in this.
and Peter, you know,
Transform and roll out. Bumblebee.
you know, it's a different. So it was just so cool to be, and we all, by the way, do each other's voices all the time. We're always, you know.
Well, Bumblebee, don't forget, kids, be good to your parents. Transform and roll out.
You know, and Frank is just a master of everything. He's inhuman. Yeah. And the second question.
Sorry, I'm just a little excited.
Oh, it's okay. So am I. I get shaky. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been getting a little speculation that Predacon Megatron might not be his real name. Like, any clue what his real name is? And was he, like, created by Galvatron himself?
Megatron?
You know, like the original? Like, you know, Megatron, did he have, like, a name before Megatron?
Oh, the backstory on that? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. the writers sort of have, it's up to us as actors to sort of develop a backstory. Sometimes the writers will sit with us and tell us, okay, well, this is what happened, but you can speculate, and well, the fun of it is you can create whatever backstory you want. As an actor, your job is to create, because this character Megatron didn't just appear out of nowhere. He came from something, right? So my job is to develop all that and come up with his history. But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I just want to hear you do more voice actor impressions. That was incredible.
Who watched X-Men Evolution? Yes. If we could only find the outtakes from that show. Where is Kitty? Where is Kitty? Kitty? Yeah.
First off, Mr. Kaye, I want to say thank you for all your work as Megatron and G.I. Joe and all that.
Yes, thank you.
My question is, when you worked on Inuyasha as Lord Sesshomaru, was there any scene or line that when you delivered it, you were like, yeah, this is my guy? Like, you know.
Doing anime is a little different when the animation's already done, and so there's 3 beeps in your headphones, beep, 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 and then you watch the monitor and fill in the lip flaps with the English, right? Dubbing or animation or anime. Toshi from Viz Video at the time, I was doing some projects and cast me in that as Sesshomaru, and I remember being the most relaxing experience in animation I've ever had. They used to literally, I used to come in, I used to set a light up for me, and we come in separately to do our lines. We did 7 seasons of that. I don't know how many episodes, and I knew about 3. I knew Richard, I knew Michael Dobson was in it. I didn't know anybody else. I had no idea, because we used to go in by ourselves. I would sit there like this. Yes, Jockin. Of course, Jockin. Stop it. You know, a demon, my half-brother. And I would just like relax. And it was just so great, just doing that. And that was Sesshomaru, because he never really got excited or overworked. He was very sure of himself. And I just remember being like, literally, I feel like Sesshomaru right now, just hanging out. This is me. And it was just so relaxing. It was, but yeah, that's how that came about. A relaxing atmosphere.
Hey. So I asked a similar question to Gary Chalk last year. I'm going to kind of ask you the same sort of question. So both of you have played a version of Megatron, and then both of you have played a version of Optimus. So when you became Optimus, what was your thought process?
Did he play Megatron?
Briefly in one episode of Beast Wars,
well, that
he
doesn't
played
count.
Like G1.
That doesn't
yeah.
count. That doesn't count. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so there was something he would. Okay. Yeah. I conveniently forgot about that. Well, the Optimus thing. I was so used to being Megatron for those, all the series, and in Los Angeles. I actually contacted Sue Blue and said, hey, I know you're casting, so can I, I'll be in L.A. And she said, oh, baby, of course you are. Oh, baby, oh, you. So they brought me in, and I read for Megatron. Oh, here we go again, and they're all, they're laughing. Oh, it's great, I thought it's gonna happen. Then I get the phone call in my car. I'm in Chinatown. Literally, that movie Chinatown. Jack, I'm driving down that street. It's Chinatown, Jack. Forget about it. And it's, hey, it's Natanya, so they want to book you on Transform. I go, oh, awesome, here we go. She says, so they want to book you as Optimus Prime. I go, you mean Optimus Prime? The good guy? She's, yeah. I go, are you sure? I don't know what to do with that. Yeah, because they were having trouble finding someone. They were thinking like a Tom Hanks type. The first few episodes, I had a tough time figuring out like who this was. And I just dropped into my own voice, a Transformer rollout, Bumblebee. He's like a young buck and trying to figure things out. It's a completely different, from Gary's. And so I just kind of did that. And it was tough for the first few episodes because Sue would say, okay, Megatron, and I'd look up and, oh, it's Corey Burton, right. And it's just a different headspace. Because an Optimus, he's just trying to, he's just rallied the troops and he's a good guy, and he just wants to. The direction they gave me for Optimus Prime was when he speaks, think of all the other characters doing the eye roll, like, oh, here we go again. You know, like, oh, he's speaking again. And he's trying to rally the, and they're all like, oh. And so that became, in my head, I go, okay, now I start to understand, like, where he's coming from. The bad guys, they're a lot of fun. A lot of fun to do. Gary will tell you the same thing because there's so much going on. When you hear Alan Rickman say, yes, Harry Potter, like, if someone's yelling at you like it, you know, I mean, that's okay, he's mad and it's not really interesting. But if somebody says to you, I'm going to take you outside and take your heart out and stamp on it, that's creepy. You know, so that's what makes playing the bad guys fun, because they don't need to get all, you know, screamy. It's less interesting. And the good guys, they're just there they're good guys. Come on, guys. So I'm rambling again, but does that make sense? Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay, I think we got time for one or two more questions.
Yeah, we can go under 10 minutes.
Another 10? Okay,
yeah, we
cool.
can go further. I have a last week tonight session I have to do, but it's for the Emmys. I don't know, we're doing something today. I have to go back, record it at the hotel, my gear, and come back here. So yeah. Okay.
Lou? Okay. What was your experience working on Ramna 1/2?
Oh, yes. Nabiki, Nakane. You think a lot of crying. You remember seeing that show? I think that was one of the earlier ones I did too, from the first anime ones. Yeah, and it was Robert O. Smith, Robert O. who played. He was a power lifter. He passed away a few years ago, and I was blown away. He was such a nice guy, an older guy, but he used to lift massive amounts of weight. Like he won medals. What was the character in that? You remember Robert O. Smith? He was the. That's right. Yeah, at the Ocean Group, we did that in Vancouver. Good memories, but a lot of crying from my character. Next.
Yeah, Megatron, his iconic yes.
Yeah.
Was that improvised or was that written in?
That's a good question. Some of you may know or may not know. It was either the first or second record. The writing, there was no like yes and no and all that stuff. There was like, I think there was like a paragraph or a speech, and he said yes, you know, and I went yes, and Sue goes, oh baby, I love that. I'll do that again. They're all like, you know, and their heads are going back and forth like little, what do they call those like things that. No, those animals that pop up and look around. Meerkats? Meerkats. You know the ones that like, that's what people in the booth do. They're like meerkats. If you do something good, they come out of their hole and look around, and they go back. And so I did another take, you know, and so yes. And they go, oh wow, he's here. So and then I think a little bit I added a no. The Shakespeare thing, you know, the back and forth, and they kept that in. So I would add, sometimes they would write it in, other times I would add where I thought was necessary. So they let me kind of play a bit. And, you know, it's weird because I've seen movies where people, what's the movie, Galaxy Quest? By Grabthaw's hammer, I will avenge thee. And I thought, hey, it's a catchphrase. Oh, wait a minute, I got a catchphrase. I have a catchphrase. But yeah, it's so cool how that took off, you know. And also, excellent is another one that I added. I added excellent. I have to take credit for that. Next.
Hi.
Hi.
I've been enjoying for the past couple of years your Christmas videos that you do
Oh,
in the Megatron
yes.
voice. How did that start to come about? Because now I'm seeing the other Beast War actors getting in on it.
Again, out of boredom. It's amazing when you're bored, how your mind goes, I'm going to do something. It was close to Christmas. We're still living in Burbank. And I was in my booth. I was just, I don't know, cleaning up or toying around. And I said, do a little song. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I just, I think it all comes from the duck. You know, rubber ducky, you're the one. I said, well, if he can sing that, then maybe he can sing a Christmas song. But the thing is now that the pressure's on, because now I'm feeling like I'm anxious because I got, oh my God, I got to come up with something. And last Christmas it was, you know, I don't have a cigar often. I'm not. My doctor keeps saying, "Would you please quit?" And I just once in a while, you know. And Christmas Eve is sort of that time, late at night when the people are. I kind of sit and take stock, and I put the old radio on, listen like. And we live in Toluca Lake, which is where Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and all they used to live in that area. And our house was built in 1942, and I used to sit there and think about, well, what would have been like Christmas, 1942, the Second World War, and I listened to these old shows. And I thought, wait a second, I'll do like a little something. And so I just recorded, I can't remember what I did this past year, something, a poem or but now I would like to do, honestly, is to gather some of the old troops and do a Christmas album. That's what I would like to do. Gary could do a song. Him and I could do I don't know, what would we do? Oh, baby, it's cold outside. Yeah. I mean, there could be infinite possibilities there. It's just basically something I just kind of did. Yeah. Did all the greatest things happen organically? Do we agree? So, yeah. And thank you for that. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes. Oh. Either one? Either or?
I love all your work. Love Beast Wars. Love DuckTales. It's with DuckTales. And you carried to play Duckworth.
I need you just closer to the mic. I can't quite hear you.
Yeah. How's that?
That's good.
With Duckworth, did you know when you auditioned for the role that he was going to be a ghost going in, or like that he was dead? Yeah.
We're not allowed to know anything really until they don't like us to have. Sometimes they'll send the scripts early, but I like to be surprised a lot of times, and that way I won't say anything I'm not supposed to. So yeah, I went, oh, he's bad. Yeah, because I thought he was, gone. But I thought, oh, the ghost. That's how they're doing it. All right. Yeah. So that it became a thing.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so you said that you didn't you didn't watch the original Transformers when Beast Wars had come out. When did you realize that you were part of something that was already like a big thing?
In the first BotCon I went to in Rochester, New York, in Rochester, '97. You were there. Wow, man. That's when Venus and I were there, and the guys who designed the toys. Yes. And wasn't Peter Cullen there? He was there too. Yes, he had to cancel the, yeah, so, and I was walking around, I remember the woman with the snake, the yellow snake. But she wasn't a fan of the new series or something. Yes, I remember her. But I remember we're hanging out after, it was an after party or after something, we got somebody. Yeah, and I was sort of thinking, wow, so this is, and it was an eye-opener. And I realized that, oh, this is something kind of special. I didn't really know. That's right, the Wu-Tang concert. Yeah, I remember, oh my God, I remember that. I thought, what is this, is this the convention? What are we, yeah, I remember doing the pilgrimage, Venus and I, to the House of Guitars. Because growing up across the border in Canada, we used to get the Buffalo Television and Rochester Television. I grew up on all that stuff. And all these weird commercials after midnight before, when after midnight, sometimes TV stations would go off the air, the old days. And these commercials for the House of Guitars, hop, hop, it's the Easter sale, hop, hop. And they're all like weird, sort of drug-induced something. I don't know what they did putting those, but I said, I want to go to the House of Guitars. So Venus and I took a cab out. And we visited this music mecca, this old house, where in the basement, acres of 8-tracks, cassettes, albums, everything. And I was like, oh my God, this is the House of Guitars. I'm the only one who gets this thing. But I thought, wow. I forgot about the convention. I was more like, the House of Guitars, man. Yeah, that was a good time. But that's when I realized there's something special here. Yeah. Yeah? Right here?
Hi, David. With Beast Machines taking on a different writing staff and touching on different themes and a more serious tone,
yep.
Did you want to approach that Megatron as a different character, even though he was the same character? Or?
Well, we had lunch with Bob Skier, Ian and I, about a couple months ago. It was great to connect with Bob. I hadn't seen him for years. When I was told, I was actually told that, okay, well, so we're going to use the comedy and the yes. We're not going to be, we're going to pull that back, and it's a little darker. We want him to. I was given the direction to not to be so flippant, and it was much more a serious thing. I loved the look of it, the whole thing. I was just following direction, and we all wanted to just keep going because it was so much fun. But I did miss the fun Megatron. I was missing him for a bit. But then once we got into it, you kind of, okay, well, it's gone, so let's just do what we're doing here. And we enjoyed that. But I was disappointed in the beginning with the direction. Yeah. Right here.
Testing.
There we go.
First of all, I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Second, do you have any plans to get back into the Transformers universe of any sort, reincarnate Megatron?
If they send auditions or they ask, of course I read. I know that they've been great. They've always thrown me. Everybody watch Robots in Disguise? Was it? What was it? What was my character in that? It was a little mini-con. It was. Well, Sharktacon was one of them, but I was actually a mini-con in Robots in Disguise. His voice went here like this and over here. He was sort of like a doctor from Lost in Space. That sort of thing. I did a little something with that, and I can't. It was like a 4 or 5 episode. Eric Bowes and myself, Mike. We were in a few of those. TF Prime was cool, but of course, if we were asked to do anything else, I've given up hope for working any along the film stuff. I read for stuff. I've read for the film versions, but I don't think Michael Bay just doesn't. That's not going to happen. I don't think. But I just wanted a piece. I just thought, it'd be kind of fun to do something in him. But I didn't. I'm happy with where I am. I'm really hoping if they do a Beast Wars movie, that they give me a shot. If they do, I know I don't know if that's even going to happen, but I actually called my agent. Look, if this is ever going to happen, I want a meeting. I just want a meeting. I just want to throw me. I know you get your Hollywood stars and all, but it'd be nice if they do something to get the original cast. We were in Ratchet and Clank movie. We were concerned that they were going to replace us, with celebs, because you almost expect it, We'll do, one more.
Hi, David. I just wanted to know if you collect any toys for the characters that you've played, and if so, have you seen the new masterpiece, Beast Wars Megatron that they just did, or do you have one?
Oh yeah. By the way, the first MP43 I signed today I'll throw in a free yes button. Just to get that, so it goes along with it. So first one I signed today. I do have 2 of them. I have one. The box was damaged, and so I opened that up, and that sits in my studio. And then the other one I paid for, and it's in the box, and no one touches it. But I have a lot of toys stored away, like old Star Wars. I have every Ren and Stimpy toy in the box. I have every Pee Wee Herman. I have some crazy old awesome stuff. Every Tick, the original Tick. I have all those toys. I take them out once in a while, look at them and go, wow, this is cool, and then put them away. The Megatron, I have all the Megatrons. Some of them I've displayed up above in the studio. There was a time there back in, I think, the early 2000s where there was a box coming to my door, and my wife said, okay, that's enough. That's enough now. I go, yeah, you're right. And I started ordering stuff off bodybuilding.com, and then those boxes would show up for weeks on end. Okay, that's enough. All right, I'm out of that now. I go through, it's ridiculous. But the toys are cool. The ones I got, and all those BotCon exclusives, those what do you call them? The exclusives. I think I got all of them. And I forgot I had all of them. And I went, whoa, I got some cool stuff. So yeah, they're fun to have.
So outside of DuckTales and
you watched
John Oliver Tonight, what else?
What's the Justice League? You been watching Justice League?
Vandal Savage. He's down here. Remember Miguel Ferrer?
Well, Miguel passed away, a hero of mine, and so they called me and asked if, it's a horrible way, because he was much loved. I think that's a tough thing to go in and try and replace his iconic. I was nervous and scared, and I think I feel
he had this sort of swagger, the singing here, and I just tried to do that.
You fall, and they, it gets some great comments. And doing Vandal Savage is one of my all-time favorite DC characters. That to me was another Megatron moment where you're honoring a comic book legend, and also a voice legend in Miguel. And I did Stretch Monster as well because he was on the series. He passed away. He left a big hole, and all I was trying to do is just stay afloat and try to do, in his honor, try and do this the best I could do. It's just it's a tough one. But the Justice League is really cool. It's amazing numbers. Trolls, do we have any young Trolls fans of DreamWorks? Jeffrey, in the Trolls movie, no troll left behind. In the Trolls, I get to sing. I did a little white lie there, and they said, "Oh, they like you for King Peppy, but can you sing?" I go, "Yeah, of course I can sing." What do you. So, there's that. What else? There's a lot of NDAs. Ben 10. My first Grandpa role is Grandpa Max in the new Ben 10 series. I don't know how I feel about being cast as a grandpa right now. But we're doing a lot of different aliens, and it's a fun gig. There's new trailers coming out for Zombieland 2, the movie, 10 years later, and on that campaign, and the new show on Fox called Prodigal Son. I'm doing their promos for them.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of all over the map, but cartoons is my love. I love it. I love it.
Well, if you like seeing this guy and hearing him talk, be sure to check out his new YouTube series, Hollywood and Wine.
It's
very fun.
It is. I'm a wine nerd. It's something I do. It's something to do, and I interview all the voiceover stars. So I can tell you that we did E.G. Daily recently, J.B. Blanc with Gray Delisle and Debbie Derryberry. We had them on. We taste wines. We drink a bit of alcohol and have some food. And doing a special SpongeBob episode with Lori Allen and Tom Kenny, but it's a tequila episode coming up. John DiMaggio and Dee Bradley Baker, we're going to be pairing burgers and wine at Cassell's in downtown Los Angeles. I get all kinds of great episodes coming up. So it's just a hobby, and it's fun to kind of, share some food and wine with the people I work with, and they're pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys for your questions.
Thank you for watching this video. I am Invader Zim, and I traffic in doom. And so, if you do not subscribe to this channel, you will have doom that befalls you by me, Invader Zim.